Okay? Fine?
Yes, Pachi.
Okay. Thank you. ॐ दक्षिणस्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः शान्ति मंत्र ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. In the last session, we completed the first Mundaka. That is the first chapter of Mundakopanishad, in which there were two khandas. In the first Mundaka, there were two khandas. The first khanda introduced the two vidyas, or the two types of knowledge called as Paravidya and Aparavidya. And the entire first khanda went on to describe that Brahman which is got through Paravidya. Then the second khanda we saw of about 13 mantras was talking about what is Aparavidya. Since in the first khanda of the first Mundaka itself, the Veda Purva portions or the Karma Kanda portions of the Vedas have been described as Aparavidya. Apara means what? An inferior apara or a lower order of Vidya. Laukika Vidyas are Aparavidyas. Then the Karma Kanda of the Vedas is Aparavidya. It's not something to say lower or higher or superior or inferior. It only means a branch of knowledge which talks about limited means to limited ends. That's all. So, though the meaning of para means the highest knowledge, apara means the lower knowledge, when it comes to the Vedas, it is very difficult for us to really give that particular definition. Paravidya is that part of the Vedas, the Vedanta, that talks about Brahman, Param Brahman or Parabrahman, which is nothing but the highest reality, the highest order of reality. And Aparavidya or the Karmakanda or Veda Purva of Vedas is that which talks about limited means to gain limited ends. That's why it is called as Aparavidya. Same with Laukika Vidyas also. However much a scholar I may be in Sanskrit language, in mathematics, in astronomy, or whatever it is, this particular knowledge is limited. It is a limited means to a limited end. And there is nothing called as a transformation of a jiva by aparavidya. And aparavidya keeps me coming back again and again and again into this body mind sense complex in various lokas. Karma begets karma. Whether it is Laukika Vidya or whether it is the Karma Kanda of the Vedas, which talks about karma and upasana as the means which are limited, the ends or the phalam of the Veda Purva or Karma Kanda is also limited. So, what it says is any knowledge which talks about limited sadhanas for a limited sadhya, that is, limited means to a limited end, is called as aparavidya. And therefore, all the Veda Purvas of all the four Vedas fall into this aparavidya. There's nothing superior or inferior. Whereas Paravidya is that knowledge of that infinite Brahman which is nothing but my Swarupam, and that is the end of this knowledge. And once this knowledge has done its work, I am free, I am transformed totally. This is a transformative knowledge. That is why it is called as the Paravidya. So, what happened now? The second khanda of the first Mundaka also talked about the limitations of Aparavidya. First, it talked about the glories of Aparavidya, and then it talked about the limitations of Aparavidya. And it ended with two beautiful shlokas, I mean, two beautiful mantras. Wherever we come, we talk about an Upanishadic verse, we call it a mantra. Therefore, the 12th verse of the last session we saw, Pariksha Lokan Karmachitan Brahmana Nirvedamayat Nasti Akrita Kritena तमेवार्थं तद्विज्ञानार्थं सह गुरुमेव अभिगच्छेत् समित्पाणिः श्रोत्रियं ब्रह्मनिष्ठम्. One of the most beautiful verses of the entire Mundakopanishad, which talks about a person who realizes the limitations of karma and upasana, realizes the limitations of karma phalas, whatever may be the karma, secular karma, religious karma, spiritual karma, whatever it is. What this verse, this mantra says is that ultimately I have to look around and see that things are changing so constantly. Today is not what it was yesterday. I may be very happy today with everything that I want, but tomorrow the whole situation may change. I may feel I'm very secure, I'm very happy, I'm very stable, but we don't know when that security and stability is just going to disappear. Every day we are seeing this. We are experiencing the limitations and the ephemeral nature and the constant anityatvam of karma phala. And if this is so of the karmas means what? All the actions that we do, may they be secular karmas or religious karmas, ultimately, if any action of mine is going to lead me to a limited result, and the limited result is something which is not in my hands, and I see things, karma phalas perishing constantly, nashwara karma phalas, anitya karma phalas, atruptikara karma phalas, bandhaka karma phalas, those which keep me bound to karma and karma phala again and again and again, then at that time I should develop a kind of a nirveda. This person, Pariksha Lokan, having examined the transitoriness of the karma phala in this world that I am living, I have to develop this inquirer, me or the mumukshu, I have to develop a kind of a healthy detachment from this. Not that I have to leave the world and run away. I can't leave. As long as this body is here, one cannot leave the whole world and run away. Where can I run away? If I run away from here, I have to go somewhere else. That can become a bondage for me. So I can't run away from this world. What is said is that I develop a kind of a vairagya. Nirveda means vairagya, nirvedam aya, nirveda means vairagya, a healthy detachment out of understanding, not out of not a passive vairagya, out of disappointment, but a vairagya which is active and which is born out of understanding that this much is this, that's all. This world is only this much, nothing more than that. Whatever I do, however big a yaga, yajna, and however sacred my karmas may be, this is what it is. Ultimately, this is it. I have to come back again and again. That no karma phala is ever going to make me permanently secure, peaceful, and happy. If that is so, if I have developed a healthy vairagya towards this world surrounding me, which is nothing but a result of my karma phala, because of which I am here, then what happens to me? Then there is an inquiry, an inquisitiveness in me to know that there must be something which is permanent. There must be something which takes me away from this particular constantly changing universe. There must be something which really insulates me from this constantly changing universe, in spite of my being there in this universe. What is that? Nirvedamaya nasti akrita kritena. What is that that I'm looking for? Something other than this. There must be something more than this, which is different from this, which gives me that kind of a peace, security, and happiness, and that kind of a peace which I know is not going to be disturbed. Nityam, Shashwatam, something Purnatvam. I don't lack anything. Here I lack. Every moment I'm lacking something. What is it that is going to give me this, you know, disappearance of this constant apurnatvam in me? For that knowledge, to understand what it is, which is called as moksha by our scriptures, which is given by the Paravidya of the Vedanta. What do I do? What does such a person do? Tad Vijnanartham. To know that thing, to know and understand what that thing is, Saha, this mumukshu, me, you, me, every mumukshu who has understood this, developed this healthy vairagya, Gurumeva Abhikache. One has to go to a sampradaya with Guru who's a Brahmanishta and Shrotriya. Shrotriya Brahmanishta Gurum. He has to go to a Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam Guru. Shrotriyam is the one who has heard this knowledge. He knows what this is. What is that Brahman? What is that Paravidya by which this transformation takes place? And he has got it Sampradayataya through his Guru, his or her Guru, and come through the Sampradaya of Dakshinasya Samarambha Shankaracharya Madhyama Asmadacharya Paranta. So this Vidya has come Paramparataya, and therefore I go to a Guru who knows this, who has learnt this. He knows the way of communicating this because he has learnt it from his Gurus. And a person who has realized and understood the truth of this Vidya, Brahmanishtaha. Such a person is fit enough to be a guru, and a mumukshu should go to such a guru. And what does the guru do? Tasmai sahavidwan upasannaya samyak prashanta chittaya shamanvitaya. A person, a mumukshu with the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti of viveka, vairagya, shamadhi shatka sampatti, and this mumukshutvam, when he approaches the guru, vidhivad, he approaches the guru. Vidhivad means what? Traditionally, the way he has to appear before a guru. What does he do? Yena aksharam purusham veda satyam provachatam. He has to give this knowledge to the seeker, the one who has come seeking for this knowledge. So we ended the first Mundaka there. I am giving the previous session's summary a little longer here because this is though our second Upanishad. I want us to, all of us, to go deeper and think deeper into this. Completing an Upanishad is not important. How deep I have gone into it, how much the Upanishad has gone into me, into my head, into my understanding, that is more important here. Now we go to the Dvitiya Mundaka. That is the second chapter, which also has two khandas. And the first khanda of now, from now onwards, all will be all the khandas, next four khandas, next two mundakas and four khandas. We'll be talking about what? Only this Paravidya and Brahman. Aparavidya has already been dealt with in the last khandam. It is not going to be repeated because more important is this Paravidya. And Paravidya and Brahman is the subject matter of Upanishads. Aparavidya was only discussed to compare and contrast with the Paravidya. And the subject matter of Paravidya to compare, contrast the phalam and also the karma. That was the reason why this was talked about in the previous section. Now, what is going to talk? We're going to be talked about is nothing but what is that Brahman that we are talking about. In the sixth verse of the first khanda, we saw Yattat Adresham Agrahyam. We saw the Svarupa Lakshanani of this Brahman or Atma or consciousness. In this khanda, the Upanishad chooses to say that all that we see here, all this Jagat that we see here, what is its relationship with that Brahman, Adresham, Agrahyam, okay, Apanipadam, Ashrotram, Apanipadam, okay, Vibhum, Sarvagatam, Susukshmam, all that, what is that Brahman in relationship to this whole world that we are seeing? We are experiencing this universe. There is this Jagat. And the Upanishads say that there is this Brahman yattadadresham agrahyam, agotram, avarnam, tadapanipadam. The sixth mantra, most important mantra of the entire Upanishad. There are a few gems of mantras here. Pariksha Lokan we saw just now, some time back in the previous khanda. That is one of them. Yattadadresham agrahyam, that is one of them. Now, if it is that adresham, agrahyam, that Brahman, which is the subject consciousness, that which is the Jagat Adhishtanam, then if that is the only thing that is there, what is it that I am seeing here? What am I seeing here? I am experiencing a Jagat. I am experiencing multiple jivas. I am experiencing multiple names and forms. What are they? How are they related to Brahman? From where have they come? Are they different from Brahman? Or are they the same as Brahman? Or are they the parts of Brahman? So, what is the relationship now between Jiva, Jagat, and this Brahman? Here, mostly the Upanishad talks about the Jivas. What is the connection? What is it that is the Jiva? What is it? How has it come? What is this Jiva? That is what is going to be talked about with relationship to, with the context of Jiva and Jagat. What is this Brahman? And how this Brahman has manifested itself as the Jiva and Jagat. That is what is going to be talked about in this entire section. So let us talk. So in short words, in a short sentence, I can say it's going to talk about Srishti again. A part of it we saw in the first section only as the Tatastha Lakshanam of Brahman. We also saw that, but here it is going to be dealt with in more detail. So let us go to the first mantra of the first khanda of the second mundaka. So we call it 1, then 2, 1. First mantra, second mundaka, first khanda, 1, 2, 1. So let us see now what it is going to talk about. Tadetat satyam yatha sudiptat pavakat vispulingaha sahasrashah prabhavante sarupaha तथा अक्षराद् विविधा सौम्य भावाः प्रजायन्ते तत्र चैवापि यन्ति. So this verse talks about where the jivas have come from. Where have these jivas, the different jivas, the different individual body, mind, sense complexes, what is the relationship of these jivas with Brahman? or with that consciousness which was described in the first Mundaka and the first Khanda in the sixth verse and also in the subsequent verses of the same Khanda. So he says here, Tadetat Satyam, Tat Yetat Satyam. That Brahman, which is nothing other than this Atma, is Satyam. That is the reality. That Brahman is the only reality. That Brahman is the only Paramarthika Satyam, absolute Satyam. There is nothing else. Then, what are all these bhavas or jivas? So, Tadetat Satyam, Yatha Sudiptat Pavakat. Suppose we have a well lit fire, a big conflagration of fire. What do we see there? From the conflagration of fire, what happens? Vispulingaha sahasrashaha prabhavante. Vispulingaha, sparks. The sparks, hundreds, thousands of sparks emerge from that conflagration of fire. Correct? We see that all the time. Then, what are these sparks? Are the sparks different from fire? Are the sparks a part of the fire? Are the sparks created in the fire newly? Or are the sparks within the fire which appear in the fire, exist in fire, and resolve back into the fire? So, what are these Vispulingas? Sahasrashaha prabhavante. Sahasrashaha, hundreds, thousands of sparks, they appear out of this huge conflagration of fire. And what are they? Sarupaha. They are of the same Swarupa as that of the fire. Now, what is the meaning of that? In the next line, he says, Yatatha, in the same way, Aksharat, from this Aksharam Brahma, Vividhaha Bhavaha Prajayante. Different body, mind, sense complexes are born. This is what is given in the verse of the Upanishad. Now, how do we explain this? How does the Guru explain this particular verse of the Upanishad? Now, a spark has the same nature as that of the fire, correct? The conflagration of fire also has got heat and light. What does a spark have? It also has heat and light. Swarupataya, from the very nature of it, the fire and the sparks are not different from each other. The fire also, when I touch, it gives me heat and light. I see light and heat. When I touch it, it burns my body. Similarly, the spark also I see, and when the spark falls on my body, it also burns my body. So, Swarupa Lakshanataya, heat and light are both there in the big conflagration of fire also and the sparks also. The sparks are hundreds in number, many in number. The sparks have different sizes and shapes. One spark is big, one spark is small, one spark is very tiny. Some sparks arise, go very far away and fall. Some sparks just fall within that range of fire itself. So, the many are what? Having different upadhis. Upadhis means what? The name and forms are different and many. The sparks have many names, they are many in number, many forms. But the conflagration of fire is one. Now, can I say that the spark is a part of the fire? No. Spark is fire itself with a limited upadhi. Do you understand this? It's not a part. It is the same thing as fire, but with a different upadhi. Fire is one, sparks are many. Fire is a large conflagration, sparks are smaller. in form. They are of different names. That is called fire. This is called a bright spark, okay? Red spark, or a small spark, or a spark which was there for only 2 seconds, a spark which went far away from the mother fire, or a spark which went only 2 inches from the fire, whatever it is. The description of the sparks is different. The name and form description of the fire is different, but the spark and the fire are one and the same. That is what the Upanishad wants to say. So, prabhavante bhavaha means what? Different jivas, different body, mind, sense complexes, same consciousness. It is the same heat and light, but with different shapes and sizes and with different forms appears as sparks. It appears in fire, exists in fire, and then it resolves back into fire. What is the meaning of it? It means that every one of us, every jiva, every living being, we'll take here only bhavaha means living beings. Let us take here, everything in this universe is the same, there's no doubt about it. But here specifically, the jivas are being talked about. And living sentient beings are being talked about. So, what are we, the jivas? We are nothing but that Atman or Brahman, but limited upadhis. The upadhis are many, the consciousness is one. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi. Ishvara is the macro upadhi, samashti upadhi Brahman. Brahman has Ishvara, Maya as the samashti upadhi. Therefore, Ishvara is the samashti upadhi. This body, mind, sense complex is a small vyashti upadhi. Another 80 kilos person is a heavier upadhi. A small child which is just born 3 kg child is also a small upadhi. There is one intellect which is very dull upadhi. An intellect which is very bright, a very bright upadhi, bright spark. An intellect like Einstein who had 160 IQ is a very bright upadhi. Like an example that is given, when electricity passes through different bulbs, a bedroom bulb which is very dim also has the same electricity passing behind it. It's not that the electricity is less. A 500-watt floodlight also is the same electricity which is enlivening it, which is making it bright. So, what is the difference? There is no difference in that electricity which is enlivening its gadgets. But how bright should be each light depends upon its own upadhi. Similarly, we the jivas, the living beings, not only everything, living and non-living beings, the whole universe, but in this verse, the Upanishad talks about bhavaha. Bhavaha means the living organisms or the jivas are nothing but that Brahman. The most important word here is sarupaha. We are not parts of that consciousness. The jiva is not a part of Brahman. The jiva is not different from Brahman. The jiva is Brahman. It is the same consciousness but with different upadhis. Fire is, say, you can say temporarily, it is a limitless upadhi, whereas a spark has a limited upadhi. Fire is one, sparks are many. Fire is burning, sparks are appearing, existing, disappearing, short lived. Brahman is like that. Ajaha, Nityaha, Shashvataha. Same with me. I am also Ajaha, Nityaha, Shashvataha, Purana. Na hanyate. It does not get destroyed. Then what is it that gets destroyed? In a spark, it is nothing but the upadhi. Similarly, it is this upadhi body which gets destroyed. Even the mind continues. The Sukshma Sharira also continues. What gets destroyed? Hanyamane Sharire. Only the Sharira gets destroyed. Therefore, what are these jivas? Who are we? We are nothing but Brahman with different namarupas. Because of the upadhi, we feel we are limited and small because of this limited upadhi with which that consciousness is associated. I can give another example for this. In a huge ocean, so many waves are arising. One wave is small, one wave is big, one wave is a breaker, one wave is, a wave of a tsunami, one is a mere ripple, one just starts and ends there, one goes up till the end of the, on the shore it goes. A tsunami wave may go and destroy miles away something, the whole, whatever is there for miles together, it may destroy. So ultimately, it is the same ocean, the samashti. The same ocean is manifesting in a vyashti upadhi called as a wave. There is no difference between the ocean and wave. They are sarupa. Why? Because it is the same water behind the samashti ocean also, and the same water behind the vyashti nama rupa wave also. Similarly, it is that same Brahman or consciousness behind the Samashti Ishvara also, and this limited Upadhi Yukta Jiva also. So, therefore, who am I? The Jiva. Who are we, all the Jivas? We are not insignificant, tiny parts of Brahman. We are that Brahman. It is the same consciousness here which is behind you, which is behind everything else, which is that Adhishtanam Brahma. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata. Sarvakshetreshu ahameva kshetrajna. I am that consciousness behind all the body, mind, sense complexes. And I am that Brahman, that consciousness behind all the body, mind, sense complexes. Therefore, who am I? I am that Sarupaha, means what here? The same nature. The sparks are of the same nature as that of the fire. Therefore, they are the fire. The spark is also fire because it has got the same swarupam of heat and light. Therefore, he says, Sahasraha Prabhavante Sarupaha. This is the most important word here. Sarupaha. Similar, exactly the same, identical in one's nature. The spark is identical in its Swarupa to the conflagration of fire. I, the Atman, is identical to that Brahman, Aham, Tat Brahma Asmi. Then why am I so limited? Limited mind, limited brain, everything. Why am I like that? Because of the limited upadhi with which this consciousness is associated. Then tatha aksharat vividhaha bhavaha prajayante he somya. Somya means he is addressing the Shishya. Hey dear one, hey Somya, hey dear one, just like this, from the conflagration of fire, how the sparks, Sarupa, similar natured sparks, but with different upadhis appear. Tatha, in the same way, Aksharat, from this Aksharam Brahma, Vividhaha Bhavaha Prajayante. Different jivas with different body, mind, sense complexes, 1,86,000 or whatever number of lakhs of jivas are born, prajayante, tatra chaiva apiyanti. And all these, jivas, all these upadhis arise in that consciousness, exist in that consciousness, and resolve back into that consciousness. Just like the upadhi of the wave arises in the ocean in the total, exists there, plays about for some time, interacts with a few other waves for some time, finishes its work that it has to complete, and apiyanti, tatra chaivapi, tatra chaivapi yanti, tatra chaiva apiyanti. They go back, they resolve into the same thing. Therefore, What is this Brahman? What is the relationship between this Brahman and Jagat? Jagat includes what? Other jivas also. There are other jivas and other non sentient things also. So the entire Jagat is nothing but a mere upadhi, a name and form of the same consciousness. Therefore, the jiva is not different, not a part of Brahman, but the jiva is Brahman. The Jagat is not a part, the Jagat is not a small bit of the remnant of Brahman, but the Jagat is Brahman. The same Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is the Adhishtanam of every name and form Upadhi here. Therefore, this is the relationship between that Brahman, which can be explained as the very Jagat Karanam of this entire universe. Jagat Karanam means what? The cause, the original cause from which all these upadhis, names, and forms have arisen. Now, when we say this, there is a possibility that we may think that just like a cause changes itself to become the effect. Normally, what do we say? A cause changes itself to be the effect. Correct? So, what I say is, I see the milk which gets converted into nothing but curds. It is parinama, parinami karanam. So, whatever we are used to seeing is parinami karanam. There is a cause, it gets modified into an effect. So here it should not be misunderstood like that. That Brahman is changing to become the Jagat, changing to become the Jiva. It should not be thought like that. To make it clear, the next verse talks about in more detail about what this Brahman is. So, what did the first verse talked about? It talked about Brahman being the very cause from which all the jivas come, but the jivas are not separate from Brahman, the jivas are not different from Brahman, and the word Akshara is used here, Aksharam Brahma. In Mundakopanishad, Brahman is called Aksharam. Tatha Aksharad Vividha Bhavaha, they appear from this aksharam brahma, different names and forms appear. So what will be the next confusion in us? We are all confusion masters, isn't it? We may now think that okay, the same thing comes from this, so that means what? I the jiva am coming from the, I'm nothing but this consciousness Brahman. Brahman or this consciousness has undergone some change to become me, the Jiva. This is what I am going to think about. And the Upanishad is worried. The Upanishad has already told us that Brahman is the Vivarta Nimitta Upadana Karanam. What is Vivarta? Vivarta, changeless. What is Upadana? Material cause. What is nimitta karanam? The intelligent cause. Vivarta means what? There is absolutely no change whatsoever. The karanam does not undergo any change to become the karyam. We saw the example also. When I sleep, I project a dream world, but that projected dream world does not change me, the waker, in any way. I get up the same me who had gone to sleep. It doesn't change me at all, isn't it? Urnanabhi example we saw. The example for Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam. Does the Urnanabhi spider undergo any change? It does not undergo any change. From itself, it brings out that material and creates a web for itself, doesn't depend on anything else outside, resolves it into itself, and by itself, by creating a web or resolving it, does not change itself. Of course, it will change because it is being a upadhi, the regular changes, asti jayate, vardate, all those are there. But here in Brahman, there is no question of any change for Brahman to manifest as the world. So if we say Brahman becomes the world, how did it become the world? If Brahman becomes the Jiva, how did Brahman become the Jiva? Has it undergone any change to become the Jiva? Has it undergone any change to become the world? In the next verse, the Upanishad says, without undergoing any change, changelessly, remaining the same, what are jivas, these upadhis? What are the names and forms we call Jagat? These are nothing but a projection or a manifestation of the same Brahman without undergoing any change. Then what is it that projects this world? What is it that projects this upadhi of the jiva onto this Brahman? The same Atma, same Brahman I am, this is a mere upadhi projected. That's what we are saying. The Jagat is nothing but a projected name and form. That's what we are saying. What is it that keeps Brahman changeless and projects an upadhi of millions of names and forms called Jagat and Jiva? That is Maya. That is the Prakriti or Maya or the original primitive matter principle. It is this Maya which is as though it is the very Shakti of Brahman, which is of a lower order of reality, which is a Vyavaharika Satyam. Maya borrows existence and consciousness from this Brahman. And like a movie, this Maya projects the whole universe of names and forms, including the Supadhi. Brahman remaining changeless. Just like I, the waker, in sleep, the avidya or Maya of Nidra, projects a whole world of Swapna Prapancha without changing me. Correct? Without changing me, it projects a whole Swapna Prapancha. Like an Indrajala, like a magic. The magician's Maya or magic, power of magic of the magician, projects a whole set of make believe Maya or magic without affecting the magician in any way. Where is the magic coming from? From the magician. Where is it existing? In the magician. Where is it resolved back? It is resolved back into the magician. But then nothing has changed in the magician. He is the same as he was before he started the program and at the end of the program. What has happened to the magic? It has just disappeared. Has the fire changed when sparks are born out of the fire? Fire does not change when sparks are. Millions of sparks may come out of the fire. But has it changed the fire? It has not changed the fire. The heat and light of the fire, are they changed? Have they come down? Have they become less because million sparks are born from this conflagration of fire? Has the heat and light of the fire become less in any way? It has not. Similarly, what is being said by the Upanishads is, though Brahman is initially taught in the Upanishads as Jagat Karanam, from where the whole Srishti of the Jagat and the Jiva comes, but still Brahman is a Vivarta Karanam. It does not undergo any change. Why it does not undergo any change? Because it is pure consciousness principle. It's not matter principle. What can undergo change? Matter can undergo change. Asti jayate, vardate, viparinamate. Matter can go changing. Consciousness cannot change. There is no janma, there is no asti jayate, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, vinashyati for atma, for Brahman, for consciousness. But all these are there for matter principle, the upadhi. Therefore, without undergoing any change, Brahman, with the help of Maya, called as Ishvara, the whole universe is projected. And where is it projected? In Brahman, exists in Brahman, resolves in Brahman. Correct? The ocean, without undergoing any change, a wave, millions of waves with different names and forms and sizes and shapes. They come out. What is the nature of the wave? Water. What is the nature of the samudra? Water. Has the nature of samudra undergone any change? No. Has the consciousness Brahman undergone any change? No. Therefore, he says that Brahman is the Vivarta Karanam, changeless cause of the entire Namarupa Jagat. Changeless, Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam. One and the only Brahman, without undergoing any change, is both the intelligent cause and the material cause of all that appears. And what is it that is responsible for this projection? It is Maya. Maya is that anirvachaniyam Maya, that which is of a lower order of reality, which very loosely is associated with Brahman. And that loose combination of Brahman, the consciousness, and Maya, the primitive matter principle, we call it by the name Ishvara or Samashti, which projects a Jagat in the form of various jivas and non-sentient beings. Therefore, to say that this Brahman is Vivarta Karanam, the Upanishad is giving the next verse 212. Okay, that is good. So let us see. Divyo hyamurtah purushah sabahyabhyantaro hyajah aprano hyamana shubhrah hyaksharat paratah parah. So, what is this Brahman then? Is it undergoing change? No, it is not the matter principle. It is the Parabrahma, the limitless, imperishable consciousness existence principle. And for it to be explained as the nature of consciousness, he says, Divyaha Amurtaha Purushaha. So, what is this consciousness? That which does not undergo any change to become or manifest as this world. So, if we say Brahman becomes the world, it's only a figurative saying. Brahman does not become the world like milk becoming curds. Brahman manifests itself as the Jagat or the world without undergoing any change whatsoever. So that changeless Brahman is nothing but consciousness without any matter principle. So he says here, Divyaha. Divyaha means what? Dhyotanavan. That which shines and reveals itself. We have seen that in this also we'll see later. Na tatra suryo bhati, na chandra tarakam, nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agni tameva bhantam bhaswarupa. Bhasura. What is that? Consciousness. So this Brahman is what? Bhaswarupa, Divya Swarupaha, of the nature of light of consciousness, which does not require any other light to reveal it. Divyaha, self-effulgent, self-revealing consciousness. When I say I am, I don't require anybody else to reveal me. I know I am. This knowledge or awareness I am need not be given by anything else or anybody else. I am aware of it myself. I shine myself. So, self revealing light of consciousness, Divyaha. Amurtaha. Next word, Amurtaha. It is formless. Again, consciousness is formless. Correct? Whereas matter is inform. Name and form is matter. Nameless, formless, amurtaha purushaha. Divyaha amurtaha purushaha. We saw that in Dakshinamurti Stotram also, no? When we saw the meaning of the name Dakshinamurti. Dakshina Amurti. What is this Amurti? Amurtaha. That means formless. When something is formless, it is unlimited. So Amurtaha means unlimited. When there is a form, it is limited. Correct? This body is there, this is a form. It is limited. Limited by what? Another body, another something. This table is limiting me, this book is limiting me. I, the form, is limited by space, by time, and by another object. Correct? You are sitting on that chair. I want to sit on that chair. I can't because you are limiting me. I have to, I have to displace you and sit there. So, what does it mean? Matter principle is limited by space, time, and also other matter. Whereas amurtaha means what? That which is formless, that which can be everywhere, which is not limited by space and time and anything else. Amurtaha, limitless. It is only amurtaha which can be purnam, limitless, all pervading. If space is all pervading means wherever this universe is, there space is, because the entire universe is in space. But space is also limited. It may be expanding, it may be stretching like an elastic, as scientists are saying. But then space also is as limited as whatever the universe is. Whereas space and time being the products of Brahman, Brahman is Amurtaha. Divyaha, self-revealing, Amurtaha, formless. And because it is formless, it is unlimited by space, time, and other objects. Take space itself, our space itself. Is it limited by itself? No. Is it limited by any other thing? No. Space is space. We are putting limits by building walls and saying, this space is mine, that space is yours. But really, can you limit the space? You can't limit space. Similarly, I, the Atma, or this consciousness, or this Brahman, Amurtaha. Next word is Purushaha. Purayati Sarvam iti Purushaha. That which is found in everything, everywhere, all pervading. Only an Amurtaha can be all pervading everywhere. Correct? Only a formless thing can be there everywhere. A formed thing cannot be there everywhere. It can complete, a formless thing only can complete everything, be in everything. A thing with a form cannot be everywhere. Amurtaha, Divyaha, Purushaha. Purayati Sarvam. Purnam iti Purushaha. Purishete iti Purushaha. The one which is found in this body. Puri, Shete, available, Purushaha. Purayati Sarvam. That which is there completes everything in everything. Purayati Sarvam. Purnam iti Purushaha. Purnam, fullness, imperishable, infinite. That is what is called as Purushaha. So, can matter principle be all pervading, limitless? No. So, Divyaha, Amurtaha, Purushaha, Sabhahyabhyantaro Hyajaha. That consciousness, that Brahman which is inside and outside and everywhere. We can take the example of space. Space is inside here also, outside here also, inside me also, outside me also. There is no limitation. That's why we give the example of space and light for Brahman. So it is what? Sabhahyabhyantaraha. That Brahman is inside also, outside also. Actually speaking, everything is in Brahman. Everything is in this consciousness, in this Brahman. There is nothing without this consciousness. Outside me there is Brahman, inside me there is Brahman, everywhere, inside and outside, every upadhi, there is nothing but Brahman. Sabhahyabhyantaro ajaha. Sabhahyantaro hi ajaha. Ajaha means ajaha. That which is unborn. Naturally, no, matter can be born or appear, whereas non-matter principle consciousness, there is no question of being born or going through any changes. Nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyah. It's not as if consciousness was not there before. It came when this body came, and when this body dies, consciousness will go. No, it is not like that. It has always been there. Trikale api tishtati. All periods of time, it is there just like that without undergoing any change. Ajaha. When something is unborn, what is it? It is nityaha. We saw that, Ajaho nitya shashvatoyam puranaha. So sabhahyabhyantaro yajaha apranaha. Prana is in Brahman, but Brahman does not need a prana to be existing. It is the very existence itself. Brahman does not need prana. It is the body, mind, sense complex to function. It needs the prana. And what is prana? Kriya Shakti. Because of prana, all the kriyas are happening in the body, mind, sense complex. Whereas Brahman is akarta. Whatever is seen here is only a manifestation in Brahman. Who is the karta of this manifestation? Maya is the actual karta or kartri, if you take the gender. Otherwise, there is akarta, abhokta, atma, Brahman. Therefore, apranaha, it is does not require a prana to keep it alive. It is all the time alive. Amanaha, it does not have a ichha shakti and jnana shakti. Ichha shakti, kriya shakti, jnana shakti is there in the upadhi maya. It is there in the upadhi mind of the human being. In the samashti, it is in the upadhi maya, the ichha, kriya, jnana shakti. So, apranaha means akarta, kriya rahitaha. Amanaha means ichha shakti, jnana shakti or bhoktritva rahitaha. So, it is apranaha, amanaha, shubhraha. That which is not afflicted or sullied by the matter principle with which it is so closely associated. This body is subject to all kinds of mala. This mind is all nothing but mala only. But fortunately, this Atma, ever shining Atma, is not afflicted by the afflictions or the dharmas of the body mind sense complex. The dharmas of the world, the names and forms do not afflict this asanga atma. Shubhra means asangaha. Aksharat paratah paraha. This Brahman is even higher, or it is the higher order of reality than even Maya. Aksharat paratah paraha. Like what Lord Krishna explained in the 15th chapter as Uttama Purushaha. That was what is this Brahman? It is pure consciousness principle alone, which is even of a higher order of reality called as the Paramarthika Satyam, which is even of a higher order of reality than the very Maya principle itself. Maya is the primitive matter principle itself. The Vaya is that which has the Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti to project a universe. But this Brahman is the changeless existence, consciousness principle in which the entire material world of names and forms is projected. So the second verse is talking about nothing but Vivarta Karanam Brahma, Vivartatvam of Brahma, that is non changing nature of Brahman as the cause of this universe. So we'll stop with this and then we will see the next from where how the whole creation is explained again, how Brahman gives rise to this entire names and forms. ॐ नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति